It's the 14th of April and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, given the ABC is facing budget cuts, I have volunteered to run this studio all on my own, which means, first up, switch to camera 2. There's a... Oh, that's not right. Anyway, opening titles. Oh, the picture's gone. Well, at least you can still hear me with the sound. Tonight on The Roast... Oh, hang on. Zoom camera. Tonight on The Roast, ABC budget cuts and changes to the retirement age. But first, here is Mark Humphries with the headlines.
Let's kick things off with a whimper. You guessed it, the results of the latest Nielsen poll are in. But before you switch over to Channel 7 for Animal Airport, let me remind you that polls are valuable because they tell us who would win that fantasy election we're not having today. The Abbott government is down 4 percentage points, but the Greens have received a boost of 5 percentage points. The surge comes off the back of their win in WA, with Senator Scott Ludlam, who filmed himself bitching about Abbott to an empty Senate room.
Prime Minister, you are welcome to take your heartless, racist exploitation of people's fears and ram it as far from Western Australia as your taxpayer-funded travel entitlements can take you.
So if Tony Abbott wants a boost in popularity, all he needs to do is make a speech about how terrible this Tony Abbott guy is. A new Anzac Day fundraising appeal will allow Australians to buy a pre-recorded minute of silence for $2.26. The unique campaign idea, which will raise funds for the Anzac appeal, has been questioned by some, but if you don't believe any Australian would pay $2.26 for a minute of silence, lest we forget we're the country that got Crazy Frog to #1. #1 in the charts. Who was really crazy, the frog or us? The Minute of Silence was recorded with more than 80 serving and former Australian Defence Force members and their families. I don't envy having to produce that session. Okay, everybody, recording in 3, 2, 1, hit it! Cut! We should have just stuck with those little badges. Seriously though, selling a minute of silence is quite a sweet idea, although if Game of Thrones is anything to go by, some Australians are going to be torrenting their silence this Anzac Day. Milo, Australia's favourite edible dirt, is celebrating its 80th birthday. Milo's creator, Thomas Main, unveiled the chocolate malt powder in 1934 at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. What a sight that must have been. Step right up and enjoy my new creation. It's nutritious, it's delicious, it's brown. Why, it's Nestlé's new fortified tonic food, Milo. You, sir, just take 2 scoops, put it in the milk, no, put it in the milk, put it in the milk. No, don't eat it raw, it's a drink. Why do people keep doing this? Over the next 80 years, several Milo-based products have been successfully launched, including Milo cereal, Milo snack bars, and to a lesser degree, Milo malt. Milo malt, of course, is for all those people who say, you know what this malt powder needs more of? Malt. Anyway, happy birthday, Milo, for the roast. I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. It's the Milo in-breaths that really get you. Next up tonight, Tony Abbott looks set to break 2 of his election eve promises. The first, that he wouldn't make changes to the pension. The second, that he wouldn't make cuts to the ABC. However, unlike New Year's Eve promises, which no one expects you to hold yourself to, election eve promises come with $1 trillion, control of our military, and can drastically alter someone's vote. So it's a tad more important than your resolution to quit chocolate. Unless that chocolate can vote. Anyway, first up, the pension. Yesterday, Treasurer Joe Hockey suggested that the retirement age that is already set to rise to 67 will rise again to 70, and then called for a mature debate on the matter. A mature debate being what old people call what politicians used to do before this generation made Parliament a farce. Speaking on Insiders, Hockey then went on to say that...
The 1 in every 3 children born today will live to 100. So, quite frankly, we need to redesign our systems to manage the fact and celebrate the fact that we're all living longer.
And celebrate we will, by working a lot longer. It's like that old saying, you find a job you love because you'll be working every day for the rest of your life. Which is stupid, because once you hit 70, hard manual labour is out of the question. And even retraining as a shop assistant at a surf and skate shop's out of the question, because old folk can't hang 10 like they used to. Although according to my grandfather, they didn't even hang 10 in his day. They only got 3 each and they were damn grateful for it. So what kind of jobs are available that would be suitable for a rapidly ageing workforce? Well, Alex Lee investigates.
Live fast, die young. That used to be the motto. Now we're living slow and dying old, and it's taking a toll on our economy. Senior citizens are living out their days, dancing, hanging three, and attending musical theatre matinees. But they could soon be dancing to a different tune. But there are ways to keep these grey-haired gadabouts in the workforce using the skills they have. Grandparents have been selfishly babysitting for free when they could be paid to run our daycare centres. They're calling it the minding boom. Now, grandparents are a resource abundant with baked goods. Why shouldn't we use them to become a major exporter of sponge cakes, melting moments and coconut ices? Keep stirring, Nana. But can we put a price on the most important resource of all, a grandparent's love? Yes, we can. $10.50 should be the entry-level cost for a hug from Nana, with a surcharge for encouraging words, pet names and wobbly pats on the hand.
Great news report, love.
Thanks, Nana. For the roast, I'm Alex Lee. Now, do you have a change for a 50 or what?
Oh man, now I'm in debt to my Grammy. Although if she asks me to cough up, I'll just threaten to never visit her again. Now, the reason the government wants to increase the retirement age is because the longer we live, the longer the government has to pay for pensions. So what's the solution?
I'm glad you asked me directly, Tom.
That was clearly rhetorical.
I've come up with 2 proposals to help ease the pressure on the budget that I think will be right up the government's alley. First up, people need to start working at a younger age so they can save more money, retire earlier, and not have to rely on the government for a pension.
All right, so you're talking about starting careers right out of high school.
High school? No, I'm talking out of primary school. I'm talking about child labour. Get those stupid kids making bank as early as possible. Good for the stupid kids' bank account, and good for business too. A fleet of nimble 8-year-old kids full of kid energy with their wee little briefcases and their tiny leprechaun hands that aren't swollen with arthritis, so they can get into those hard-to-reach mineral deposits in the mines.
I'm pretty sure industry has moved past that.
Oh, okay. Well, then we need to cut down on the amount of older people the government has to support.
Yeah, right. Well, that's probably more about what the coalition's looking for. You're talking about encouraging elderly people not to take the government's money.
I'm talking about encouraging elderly people to take more risks. You're only old once. These are your golden years. And the government's running out of gold, so would like those years to be as few as possible. Roll it. Are you over 65? Why not take up smoking? No. Not cigarettes. Crack. And while you're hitting the pipe, why not try a little base jumping? Sounds scary, right? Haha, not when you're high on crack. You won't know what fear is. And while you're at it, don't wear a seatbelt, cross the road without looking, and always eat that weird sachet that keeps your vitamins dry. And when you're winding your way along the great ocean road to visit the 12 apostles, you know what would make that road even greater? You, out of control in your camper van, on crack. You're 65. It's time to start living. Recklessly. And it's fiscally efficient because it doubles as an anti-crack campaign. Or, just a thought, big companies could actually pay their corporate tax rather than hiding their money overseas in countries with lower tax thresholds, but I think we'd have more of a chance advocating crack use amongst the elderly or hard mine work amongst the minorly. Problem solved.
All right, well, I'm going to take a short moment to recover emotionally from Nick's ad. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Tom. Why don't you take a moment and jump on our Twitter and answer tonight's question. Are you old? Like, really old? What's the oldest you've ever been? We'd love to hear about it. Why not send us a fax or a birthday card? Oh, with a scratchy in it! At the Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
And we really need to win big on that scratchy because finally tonight, Prime Minister Tony Abbott is poised to cut funding to the ABC, even though, as mentioned, on election eve he made a whole series of promises like some sort of horny teenager saying whatever he had to get Australia into bed.
No cuts to education, no cuts to health, no change to pensions, no change to the GST, and no cuts to the ABC or SBS.
He didn't care about Australia, he just wanted to get us into the sack for a 3-year bonk sesh. But with the ABC existing across so many platforms, are there any services that can be dispensed with? Well, according to ABC Managing Director and Year 9 substitute chemistry teacher Mark Scott,
if they are cut under the efficiency dividend, that would be terrible. I don't see any fat out there.
Yeah, that's right, there's no fat at the ABC, so what's your fat back, my big fat fetish? But for Tony Abbott, government is all about efficiency. Promising to make Australia more efficient, they have already cut the Climate Commission, the Climate Change Authority, the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, future permanent protection visas, and a shitload of inefficient trees. It's beginning to feel like if you look up efficiency in the government's dictionary, it just says cut things. And if you look up any other word in the dictionary, it says this entry has been cut, see efficiency. And with suggestions that the cuts in the first year alone could be equivalent to half the ABC's drama budget, well, the drama department is going to have to come up with some creative solutions to deal with that lack of funding.
We'll shoot everything on green screen so we don't need locations. Let's import the American version of Rake instead of making the Australian series it's based on. And if we do another Paper Giants, we can just get Chris Lilly to play every character, right? He can play Otto Buttrose.
Well, if he can get away with blackface, he can get away with buttface. Still, backtracking on election promises is always politically unpopular, which might explain why Mr Abbott is now attempting to trap all future broken promises in his mouth before they escape and reach Australia's ears. According to a spokesperson at ABC Friends,
the coalition can expect a huge backlash that will last until the next election if it deceives voters and cuts ABC funding.
Although I doubt we'd hear about it because the ABC wouldn't be there to make reports that are unaffectionate to the home team. Jazz Twemlow, why does the government keep breaking election promises and my heart?
Tom, we can't be surprised by another government breaking a pre-election promise. Before the election, they weren't in power and were pitching to run the country. What do you think they're going to do? Promise that everything's going to be shit? Would you vote for someone that says they're definitely going to behead your favourite cuddly toy?
Not again, no.
But would you vote for someone who says they're definitely not going to behead your favourite cuddly toy?
Absolutely.
Of course you would, but then they would just do it anyway.
Hey, Lord Fluffington!
Sad, isn't it? What we need is some sort of agreement to make sure we keep everything we have going into a new political relationship, like the ABC, healthcare,
education,
trees,
and Lord Fluffington.
He was just a metaphor, Tom. But since we appear to be a part of a species genetically engineered to be gullible every 3 years, what the people of Australia need is a prenuptial agreement with incoming governments to ensure there is no confusion about any election promises. OK, Australian public, potential Australian government. Now, this isn't about trust, OK? I know you're in love, and that's great. It's just that 1 in every 1 government fails, and this just protects your assets, so just sign here.
And what does this say?
Just that in the case that the government lies to you and stabs you in the back, you definitely get to keep the same ABC and environment that you entered into the relationship with.
Oh, good.
Why did I promise I'd keep my promises?
It's either that or we ban people listening to anything the political parties say the night before the election. Either way, you'll need one of these for 3 years' time.
All right, thank you, Jazz. I don't want that. And while it's never good breaking election promises, it's an especially bad idea when you're breaking a promise in order to cut something more popular than you are. A survey last year found that 85% of Australians believe the ABC performs a valuable role, whilst right now the Prime Minister has a net satisfaction rating of -7. And that is not good.
Exactly, Tom. You don't win the hearts of people by destroying what they love. I know every area of government spending is under review, but it's hard to imagine this being popular when we all grew up watching the ABC. I mean, I spent the first 8 years of my life thinking Noni Hazelhurst was my lounge room mum.
Wait, you're saying she's not my lounge room mum?
That's right, Tom. She's my lounge room mum. Now take us to credits.
Oh, OK. Good night. Now, do I need to push stop, or is it...
I think hit record.
Record, yeah.
Oh, no, you it.
Hang on, I can undo it.